So I'm feeling confident tonight because someone thanked me in advance for speaking in English, and usually I feel like I need to apologize. So, all right, no holding back. Tonight I want to talk about Bodhisattva as a practice. And Bodhisattva, which means an enlightened being, Bodhi, enlightened, awakened, Sattva, being, is someone who has developed what's called bodhicitta, which is awakened heart. So now we know what it's all about. But an awakened being, mainly in the Mahayana tradition, means someone who has come to sort of the fulfillment of their path, become fully awakened to the nature of their own mind, and makes a very firm and strong commitment to use that awakening to help all others also awaken and to end suffering from all others. So there's this prayer by Shantideva, who is in the Tibetan tradition sort of the main teacher of the compassion practice, the bodhicitta and bodhisattva. And he wrote a book called the Bodhisattva Way, or the Way of the Bodhisattva, which is used often in Tibetan teaching as a guidebook. Now it's kind of long. It's about, several hundred verses. And I had considered, using sections from it, but I just thought that's going to take too long. We'd need a year at least. And there are some great commentaries on that book, the Bodhisattva Way of Life. But Shantideva's kind of main thrust is, he says, may I, for as long as, space and beings reside, may I return to dispel the sufferings of everyone. So my goal is, as long as there are sentient beings, I'm here, right? And what that statement is saying is that this cultivation of compassion, the foundation of it is that it's unconditional. And so, to give you an idea of just how unconditional it is, so there's the Bodhisattva Way of Life by Shantideva, which is a great guidebook, but it's kind of long for us. And then there's a real shortened version by another Tibetan teacher, which is just 8 verses. And I looked at that and I thought, that might be nice for us. But all the 8 verses were basically saying, if someone hurts you, you need to love them back. That was like what it was saying. Whoever hurts you, you have to love. And I felt that was too concise. That was simply too short. So we need the middle way. We need the Goldilocks kind of middle way. So there's a Tibetan teacher who... Okay. Tomke Zangpo. He was a teacher in the 13th century. And he wrote the middle way summary of it, which is called the 37 Practices of a Bodhisattva. I thought, well, that sounds good. Maybe that will be good. That'll work. So, I made copies for everybody. We're going to actually go through the 37 practices. That's right. That's my copy. Just because it doesn't have a staple on it. Well, no, here. Yeah, here it is. So all the rest are stapled. Mine's not stapled. So there are 6 pages. 37. We're not going to get through 37. This will be continued.
Another course.
Next week, I hope. Last night we got through 7. But that's just because I was, talking too much. So, and as you see, Well, I just want to give a little prelude to this approach. Okay, this is unusual for us. We don't usually do this. Great. We're learning to be flexible. Now, these are also good to read at home, to wake up in the middle of the night if you can't go to sleep. Read these. Look at them when you wake up in the morning. Just keep them by your bed. And what I wanted to... so, the Buddha way is, throughout history, was divided into three main vehicles. The Theravada, Mahayana, and Vajrayana. And each one of them kind of has a certain strength that developed and is really useful for us to explore. So in Theravada, you really get excellent meditation instruction, and the different states of mind and consciousness are mapped out quite accurately and well. You know? So if you want to learn meditation, it's a good idea to go to a Theravada monastery, and you'll get a good support for that. In the Mahayana, which is primarily a lot of the Buddhism that was developed in China and then spread out to other Asian countries, so it includes Zen and Pure Land and Nichiren and some other schools, and a big emphasis there, especially in Zen, is realizing emptiness. And emptiness, which is non-duality and, harmony and unity of self and other. And the idea there is that when you realize that self and other are not separate, then the mind naturally is compassionate because, hey, if someone's hurting, it's you hurting. So, there's non-separation. So the point of emptiness is not to escape, but rather to realize the mind of compassion. Dogen is very clear about that the empty mind is the compassionate mind. Right? It's empty of your self-divisions, but full of everyone else. And so that's the goal of emptiness in Mahayana. It's empty, full. So, F. Scott Fitzgerald, the writer, he wrote that human intelligence is measured by the ability to hold two contradictory ideas at the same time. If you can do that, it shows you're smart. I mean, you have human intelligence. And that's basically what form and emptiness are. Being able to hold that, yeah, it seems like we're separate, but actually we're not. Seems like a contradiction, but it's not. You can hold that together. That is human consciousness, sentience, right? Being a human means that you can hold those together, and you can practice with them. That anytime you're dealing with form, at the very same time you're dealing with emptiness, right? Anytime you're dealing with yourself, at the same time you're dealing with others. So what seems like a conflict is actually a unity. Right? And that just, we can understand on an intellectual level, but then we start to intuit it and make it part of our just point of view, right? It's just the way you see the world. There's form and emptiness in harmony, right? In unity. So that's Mahayana. But Vajrayana, which is basically the Tibetan schools, and includes Tantra, but Vajrayana, the main thrust is compassion. Simply what they are teaching over and over and over again is realizing compassion and living it. And you see in the Tibetan masters, the Dalai Lama is the first to say that they need to love the Chinese government. Okay. Amazing, right? But that's the fruit of their practice, of their way. That someone who's an aggressor, then, there's the contradiction, right? Your enemy deserves your compassion, not your revenge. What a revolutionary thought, okay? But it's actually just common sense. The only way to defeat the enemy is to take away the label enemy. and see what happens, right? So that's the compassion. And the teachings are all aimed at that. And they include everything that came before. Like, let's see, you cannot open your mind to compassion if you have not stabilized your consciousness and your focus. And so, shamatha, samadhi meditation, the calm, alert awareness that comes from concentration and mindfulness in the Vipassana tradition, that calm concentration, right, is necessary in order to realize non-self, which then will open your heart to others. So all of them are existing on a continuum. Right? You can't skip any stage here. Okay? So if you want to develop compassion, you have to develop your calm, clear awareness. Right? And then you see all the fallacies, the illusions of the self in that clarity. And then you're able to hold others. So it's all together. Right? It's really one path. Now, what's interesting here in this piece is the subtitle. What's the subtitle here? 37 Practices of a Bodhisattva, a summary of how an awakening being behaves. Right? This is not something you have to necessarily understand or think about. These are instructions for behavior. Even in the Vajrayana, the goal is to change the way you act, right? Day by day, in your daily living. You can realize whatever you want, but
Years.
Sorry?
Is there a mistake in the years?
What's wrong with that?
125.
Huh?
It was over 120 years old. I mean, that's okay.
Yeah, why not?
Sounds good. Huh? That's the way to do it? Okay.
Start practicing
Okay.
in
Moshe.
one
That's makes far more sense. Okay.
That's great. But,
Let's go. Okay.
fruit of the practice. I'll check that after. But hey, why not? All these like spiritual leaders live to like around 120, right?
Mm.
Joshu, they say, lived to then. Moshe.
Mm.
Who else? Now, the Bodhisattva practice is recited every day in Zen through the vows that we recite also on Sunday nights. Sentient beings are numberless, I vow to save them. Desires are inexhaustible, I vow to put an end to them. The Dharmas are boundless, I vow to master them, and the Buddha way is unattainable, I vow to attain it. It's epitomizing those contradictory concepts that then we hold in our mind without conflict. Okay? Sentient beings are numberless, who am I? Who do I think I am? I vow to save them. Okay? That's the Bodhisattva vow. It's like, it's impossible, I'm going to do it. Right? Buddhahood is unattainable, I vow to attain it. It's impossible, there's no way. Me? That's right. Why? Because it's not about you. Okay? Yes, your personality is not going to become a Buddha. Right? Your limited self. But we're not talking about your limited self here. We're talking about your Buddha self. Right? So, it's not a contradiction. It may be a paradox when you're looking at both sides and you can't see them at the same time. Okay? So, let's take a look at this and see where we go. Right now, you have a good boat, fully equipped and available, hard to find. To free others and you from the sea of samsara, day and night, fully alert and present, study, reflect, and meditate. This is the practice of a bodhisattva. just in this verse, the first verse, we actually can appreciate there is a lot to appreciate. You have a good boat. You know, I tried to suggest this right now during the meditation. I said, you know, you have everything you need right now, right? You're in the right time, in the right place to realize everything you need to realize. Do you appreciate that opportunity? You know, you are fully equipped, right? Available. If you're alive, you have an opportunity to awaken. Okay, as long as you're alive, you're in the right boat. Okay. Now, I talked about this, I don't remember when, but I talked about appreciating the opportunity of Dharma, I think during Saturday, how rare this opportunity is. As it says here, hard to find. It's truly hard to find. Like, you're in the boat, you got a ticket. I mean, what are you doubting? Are you, aware of your fortune right now in being in this boat? It was just a couple of days ago. I was teaching at the college, and this woman asked me at the end of class, it was like just a regular class, it wasn't a Dharma class, and she said that she's having a hard time sleeping, she has a lot of problems, can I help her, like, what tools can I give her to be calm? And just to give background, she's a very religious woman, she's only 38 and she has 8 children. So, I talked to her a bit, and then I realized this is like the first time she's considering this. Okay? This is the first time she is now thinking, okay, what can I do about my mind? Up until now, it was just have another child. And now, it's, what can I do about my mind? Right? Of course, it's not too late, she's alive. But you've been considering this for a while. Appreciate that you're on the boat. Right? You already know how to row a bit and navigate. Okay? Don't waste your time. Right? This is hard to find, this opportunity. It's very hard to find. Right? It's easier for you than it may be for her. She has some catching up to do. To free others and you from the sea of samsara, day and night, fully alert and present, study, reflect, and meditate. Now, as I said, the subtitle here is How an Awakening Being Behaves. Notice the grammar here, not how an awakened being behaves, but how an awakening being behaves. Because Dogen said very clearly that practice and enlightenment are one. Right? You don't practice to become enlightened. Right? It's not like you become enlightened and then now I'm going to save people. No, saving people is the way of enlightenment. You don't wait until you have your great realization. The behavior is the expression of your realization, irrespective of what your thoughts are doing. Okay? Your behavior, your actions, your activities, your practice, that is an awakening behavior. Right? So don't wait until you have some great realization. Study, reflect, and meditate. He's going to go over that process a lot. We come in contact with the teachings, we reflect on how they relate to my life, and then we just sit with it, right? Because the whole point is to change your sense of being here, not just what you think. What you think is the first one. Okay, study the Dharma. It's true. Reflect, right, with your life, your thoughts, and then trust the silence. Like, bring it back into that silent place. Right? Don't stay with the words. Bring it to silence. Attraction number 2. Attraction to those close to you catches you in its currents. Aversion to those who oppose you burns inside. Indifference that ignores what needs to be done is a black hole. Leave your homeland. This is the practice of a Bodhisattva. Now here we have obviously the 3 poisons or fires, like attachment, aversion, delusion. Delusion sometimes is translated as indifference, meaning like I don't care, I don't care. Or it can be delusion that you're attached to a sense of self, which is a false self. Either way, it's good to consider. So here we have those are going to cause you trouble. And then the last line is kind of interesting. Leave your homeland. Now, just as the boat is not literally a boat, although maybe one day it is a boat. I like going on boats, but it's not literally a boat. Leaving your homeland is not literally your homeland. Now remember the Buddha. Well, the Buddha did leave his palace, but he ended up always staying in his birthplace, traveling around and teaching those who were like him. Right? So, he did a circle. Sometimes you have to, yes, leave, maybe mentally, sometimes physically, but you end up coming back. Because the real work is where you left. Right? That's where the real work is. It's where you came from. Because you understand the people who are like you. So those are the people you can help the most. So yes, you may leave, but come back, because that's, where you can do the most. In many cases. But leaving the homeland also means, in Zen we call it the great doubt. One of the pillars, there are 3 pillars in Zen practice: faith, doubt, and determination. And the great doubt is the leaving of your homeland. What does that mean? Doubt everything that you've been taught. It doesn't mean you reject it. Remember, because rejecting is just aversion. But holding on to it is attachment. Doubting is that middle way of saying, is it really true? Or is it wholesome? Is this belief wholesome? Is this cultural artifact that I'm holding on to wholesome? Is it helpful? Are these religious beliefs wholesome? Is this practice wholesome? Leave your homeland, meaning everything that you have inherited. Again, it's not rejection. It's stepping back to look at it. That's one of the joys of travel, isn't it? Is that when you leave your country, then you see your country, right? You see it in a bit of a different light, a bit of distance, a bit of perspective. That's leaving your homeland, right? Get the perspective on what ideas are driving, are motivating your life. And maybe you'll maintain those ideas, but at least you'll do it because you saw them, and not just because you inherited it without any choice, right? So leave your homeland and notice what you find. Always with the question, is this helpful or is it harmful? Okay? Is it helping relieve suffering or is it increasing it?
Said doubt and homeland. I also understand it as many times, whatever, a thought or emotion, like a pattern, I could very quickly tag it maybe, but I found that doubt is very helpful into looking deeper into that. So I feel like, oh, I'm sad, and then leaving my homeland would be, for me, this is like how I understand it, is like to use this doubt into, wait, is this, what is this sadness? What is sadness? And then kind of research into what really is this thing I'm actually right now experiencing, instead of just, oh, this is sad. No, I've had sadness before. I'm a sad person or whatever. But like to leave that homeland of security that I know what actually is happening to me right now, and kind of enjoy the doubt and confusion about this. Like, oh, maybe I don't know what's happening right now. Like I can, and I should look what's happening right now. I don't know, like, in my head so much.
Yes. Yeah. Very true. Not knowing. The not knowing mind, the beginner's mind. There's a saying in Zen that not knowing is most intimate. That was like this old, master said, not knowing is most intimate. We think that knowing somebody brings us close. Right? I know you, we're so close, I know you. What is that doing? That's creating, not that you know them, you know your idea of them. Okay? And not knowing is saying, you know what? You are not an idea. You're a person, you're a living being. Even to say that is already too far. Right? You are you. Okay, you exist. And I will attend to that. Attend, I will pay attention to that. Right? Attendre in French means to wait. So, like, to attend in English also means like paying attention. So paying attention and waiting have a similar root here. you're just going to be with the other. I'm going to attend to your needs, meaning I will serve you, but on your terms, not on mine. That's attending, right? So, and you can only know their needs if you are not projecting your own. If you don't know what their needs are. Yeah. You want to say something?
A question, how do you say let go in French?
Let go?
The Stambler or something else?
Sorry?
You're referring to French. Huh? I was wondering how do you say let go in French. But you cannot, okay, but if you're not aware of it, let go.
I'm trying to think
Let go of the question, please. Okay,
I'm letting go of the question. Anybody else? You know?
Laissez tomber,
The
laissez.
Stambler,
All right.
the Stambler is big, yeah.
I let go of my French a long time ago.
The Stambler.
I had to sacrifice my French in order to learn Hebrew. Yeah. Hope you appreciate that.
No further comments, okay.
Yeah. Hope you appreciate.
We appreciate it.
All right. Let's go back to Quebec. All right. So where were we? I'm already lost. We're already. This is like counting breaths. I get to 3 and I'm lost. Right? And your homeland. Great. 3. Don't engage disturbances and reactive emotions. Gradually fade away. Okay, do you see that? Don't engage disturbances and reactive emotions. Gradually fade away. Don't engage distractions and spiritual practice naturally grows. Keep awareness clear and vivid and confidence in the way arises. Rely on silence. This is the practice of a bodhisattva. Now, as we see, this is all going through the first stages of, what we practice in Theravada practice, right? You are establishing your concentration and mindfulness, and only then can you open up. But it's not like you do that and then you get to the bodhisattva practice. All along, this is the practice of bodhisattva, right? All along, because you're doing it for the sake of really helping, and that really energizes our practice. It's not just for my own state of mind. I'm doing it because it's the practice of a bodhisattva, right? And this is the effort of non-effort. It means just like not engaging in what is the right effort. What we saw in how the Buddha defined right effort is that if there's an unwholesome thought, you don't engage in it, and it naturally goes its own way. And if there's a wholesome thought, you support it, and then it does well, right? But it's basically noticing how much the hindrances come up. Anger, attachment, fear, anxiety, skepticism, how they come up a lot, dullness, lack of motivation. It comes up a lot, right? So you notice that, you just don't engage. You don't engage. You're not rejecting it and judging it. You're just saying, this is unhelpful. And what happens then? It says here, they gradually fade away. The reaction gradually fades away. What is the reaction? You see these hindrances, and instead of saying, bad, I can't practice, I'm such a bad meditator, you just don't engage in them. The reactions fade away. It doesn't mean that the hindrances won't come up. They'll come up all the time, I remember once hearing the Dalai Lama say that he gets angry. Sure, someone asked him, an interviewer said, do you ever get angry? He's like, yeah. But I just, I don't pursue it, I don't feed it.
Especially when they ask me this question, yeah.
When they ask me, yeah. And I just don't encourage it. And then the next moment it's gone. I don't encourage it.
That was his click.
Yeah. I don't encourage it.
You said it, just ignore it, yeah.
We have our patterns. We have our conditioned personality. Big deal. Okay, your mind is much bigger than that. And that's what's trying to give us faith here, is that, you just don't engage in it and it naturally fades. There's no struggle here. This is the point. You want to learn the Bodhisattva way, let go of the struggle. Even the struggle to be a Bodhisattva. Just like you see things that are harmful, I'm not going to jump on that. That's not the boat I want to get in right now. That boat's going in the wrong direction. I'm just not going to get in that boat. Okay? And if I find I've got one foot in the boat already, just by habit, I'm going to take my foot out of that boat. Okay? And if you find you're already in the boat and halfway down the river in the other direction, it's time to get out. Okay? Just get out. It doesn't matter at what point you notice it. When you notice it, it's never too late. Right? It just means that if you're in the middle of the river, you're going to get wet. Right? You're going to feel uncomfortable, that's all. The longer it goes, the more uncomfortable you're going to feel. Because believe me, anger and attachment and aversion and doubt and all this stuff, it harms first and foremost one person the most, and that's you. Okay? And the longer you let it go, the more uncomfortable or the more pain you will feel from that. Right? When you do decide to get out of the boat, you feel like, ugh, you know? So just when you notice your foot lifting to that boat, okay, that's the fine-tuning of mindfulness. Is you notice even just the boat in the side of your eye. It's like, that's not the boat I need right now. Okay? And you even just notice the ripple of the boat approaching. Right? Or you just feel like the breeze from the boat, you know. At some point you can be real subtle and you know the boat's around. You know it exists. Okay? But at this point, we're like already in the boat, halfway down the river, like, where am I? Okay, get out. Right? It's never too late when you realize it. Then you have that immediate, you know, it may be a bit painful, but you can get out. You always can. That's what the mindfulness allows us to do. And keep awareness. Don't engage in distractions, and spiritual practice naturally grows. Again, this is a key point. Well, every point here is a key point. But the key point here to understand is that we're not trying to cultivate something that we don't already have. Your compassionate mind and your bodhicitta, the awakened heart, is something that by letting go of distractions, it is naturally aroused and realized. Right? We're just blocking it with our sense of own selfhood and everything that comes with that. Right? You just let go of that a little bit, and then the love naturally arises in compassion. You don't have to make it up. Okay? You just have to let go. That's why much of meditation is just the art of letting go. Okay, letting go of what is unwholesome. And then the wholesome naturally arises, because that's the nature of the human being, what we call Buddha mind, or Buddha nature. Okay?
If I heard correctly, you said that the mind, or whatever it is much larger than personality. And one of the things to let go is our concept, my concept, of my personality.
Well, your attachments...
The concept of personality is very limiting, and it's very...
It doesn't mean you won't have a personality. It doesn't mean you won't have a personality, right? You'll have your personality, but you won't...
It doesn't cover everything. I mean,
yeah.
You said the mind is much broader than this. That sounds very powerful to me.
Yeah. I mean, and there's so much depth to who and what you are.
Much more than my concept of my personality. That's what I hear from you.
Yeah. Your ideas... Whatever the idea is, even the idea of having an enlightened mind is limiting. Even that. Right? The last thing you want to do is create a spiritual personality. That'll be very limiting. Because then you'll think you're done, you've got it. Right? Like, hey, I've realized myself. Really? So, all ideas are equally deceptive. Some are just more harmful than others. Right? But they all limit you. We want to see all ideas as self. All of them. Yeah, even the great, wonderful ones. And that's why I hear it's like how an awakening being behaves. These practices you study, reflect, meditate. Okay? You have to go through those stages. And it's in the meditation where we realize, where we transform the heart. And we do that by not working on it. Doesn't that sound odd? There's the paradox again. You transform your heart by not working on it. Because if you're working on it, you're working on an idea. But if you're allowing it, you're unknowing. It's the path of unknowing.
But sometimes it's good to have, it reminds me of Ajahn Chah's simile when he said that someone going back from the market with a banana, and someone tell him why you have the הקליפה של הבננה,
The peel.
the peel of the banana, like you're not going to eat it, yeah? Only the inside. But you need the peel to carry it away. Yeah, in the end you don't eat it, but it can be skillful sometimes to have ideas, to have not only emptiness or letting go, but something to aspire to and to cultivate, if like the paramitas. So I think it's not only letting go, but also sometimes aspiring to something.
Oh, I meant, when I said letting go, I meant just in the meditation part. We study, reflect, let go, or meditate. So in the meditation, we're not cultivating ideas. In the meditation, we're just allowing mind to naturally, arouse and awaken. Right? Naturally, it's like the non-effort part. But before that, we're studying, we're learning the Dharma, okay? And those ideas motivate us to practice. We understand deeply all the causes and the concepts of suffering and the truths and the path out of it. And yeah, otherwise we're just like, what's the point? For sure. Why would I read this? I mean, it's just one idea after another. But we have to deepen it to the place of where he said here, okay, the last line of number 3, rely on silence. This is the practice of a bodhisattva. Okay? Keep awareness clear and vivid. That is the meditation part. Alright? And confidence in the way arises. Confidence in the way arises, the confidence doesn't come from the ideas. Look, our confidence initially, it's like, yeah, we read Dharma and it seemed to make sense. And the teachings accord with the way I experience. That's confident building. But the real confidence is when you start to recognize the nature of your own mind. And you're like, oh yeah. Yeah, this is the way my mind is. Even when it's dark and disturbing, yeah, this is the way my mind is. So the clarity and awareness gives you confidence, and then you rely on silence. The silence, remember, the silence is the last part here. It's, the words, there's bringing the words back to my life, and then there's letting go of the words. Yeah. It's like having a self. You can only be selfless after you have a self. You can't be selfless without a self. Otherwise, people who don't have a very healthy sense of self, or people with certain mental illnesses, meditation is not really a great or always helpful practice, because they're still in the place of trying to stabilize and establish self, right? So when you have established, and that's hopefully, a parent's job is not saying, you're a Buddhist child, you have to be selfless. It's saying, good job, and you did great, and you're strong and capable, and reinforcing all these positive qualities, right? And they're totally selfish kids, and that's totally right, so they should be, right? Because if they skip over that, then they're going to be selfish later on, and they're always going to try to fill the selfishness that they never got when they were kids. So the best way to have a selfless adult is to have a selfish kid, right? And then you move on. Right? But if you skip that any stage in the development, like let's say you skip the samadhi, right? If you don't have calm clarity, right, your compassion is going to be all over the place and unbalanced. And unbalanced compassion means sometimes I give everything and then I get burned out and then I give nothing. But if it's calm, it's like, okay, I can accept when it doesn't work out. So every stage is necessary. I knew this was going to take longer than I thought.
You can have a seminar.
Yeah, a seminar. We like those words, eh? 4.
Good idea.
You will separate from longtime friends and relatives. You will leave behind the wealth you work to build up. The guest, your consciousness, will move from the inn, your body. Forget the conventional concerns. This is the practice of Bodhisattva. We can summarize this verse by saying, you're going to die. I mean, that's pretty much it, right? And that's what we need to remember. And it says, again, we've got to internalize the way he ends every verse is by saying, this is the practice of a Bodhisattva. Don't skip any of them. Remembering your death, your mortality, and that whatever, all this stuff we try to accrue, we try to gather in order to feel real. What are you going to take with you when you go to, I don't know. Someone told me now they're building these little shelves in the cemetery where in Jerusalem, it's all stones, right? And they have all this hill, there's nowhere to go. So they have all these, like, they're digging down like 7 floors down. And they're making all these little shelves. There's no room for a fancy car. There's like no room for your, I don't know, jewelry or whatever you think is important now. There's room for like, what, your bones. So, and right now, as we see, these are just nice words, aren't they? Reflect and meditate on your mortality. Okay? If you don't do that, then it's just, we're just like, yeah, these teachings are interesting, okay? Inspiring while I hear them. But you want to transform your heart, okay? To be less self-centered. That's all. 5.
What does it mean? The guest. Who's the guest here? The guest, your consciousness?
Your consciousness, your mind is a guest.
Is a guest.
In your body. Your mind is there. Okay. Your mind is in your body temporarily. Like you've got this nice, they also talk about your body as a whole, as a set of clothing, that, you get so attached to it, and in the end they wear out, and you throw them out, and then you get new clothing again. And it's nice getting new clothing, but you know that every time you buy clothing, they're going to wear out, right? I mean, how long do you have clothing? So, you take care of it, like you take care of your body, and it'll last longer. But in the end, they all go to the same place. So, and your consciousness, is a guest here. With some friends, the 3 poisons keep growing. Study, reflection, and meditation weaken, and loving kindness and compassion fall away. Give up bad friends. This is the practice of a bodhisattva. Common sense, but again, taking the refuge of Sangha is saying, okay, I'm going to actually try to cultivate Dharma friends, good friends. What is a good friend? It's not always someone who agrees with you or makes you feel good. It's someone who really wants you to awaken, right? Someone who wants you to awaken. And then we have, with some teachers, your shortcomings fade away, and abilities grow like the waxing moon. Waxing is increasing. Hold such teachers dear to you, dearer than your own body. This is the practice of Bodhisattva. That also is clearly put. But I want to, this came up last night, that sometimes bad friends are good teachers. And one of the things about a bodhisattva is that they find teachers, in the difficult situations, right? And they find difficult situations as an opportunity to practice. So sometimes a teacher isn't necessarily the person sitting in the front, by the Buddha. But a teacher could be sometimes a difficult person or even a bad friend. So here we have the 2 things contradictions that you have to keep in mind. There are bad friends, and sometimes a bad friend is actually a good teacher at the same time, right? How do we bring them together? That's what you have to figure out through study, reflection, and meditation. Yes, and know when one is one. Like sometimes a bad friend is just a bad friend, and sometimes a bad friend is a good teacher, right? Maybe it goes the other way. Sometimes a good teacher is a bad friend.
Or you could have better teachers. Like he's a good teacher for now, but
Yeah.
you aspire to have better teachers, like good friends, you know?
Yeah, you don't have the same friends throughout all your life. You have some of the friends the same, some of the friends you had at different stages in your life. You know, you don't have the same friends you had in elementary school. You may have some of them, and you may not have some of them. And the teachers also you go through because they serve certain purposes. Yeah.
And also the teachers can be considered like as the good friends, because this might create some dualism between, oh, you have your worldly friends and you have your spiritual teachers. You should go to your teachers and leave your friends. But also the teachers can be other friends as well.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. It's all together and separate. Study, reflect, meditate. Okay, I just want to... let's do two more. See what we can do. Locked up in the prison of their own patterning, okay, your own conditioning. Whom can ordinary gods protect? Who can you count on for refuge? Go for refuge in the three jewels. This is the practice of a bodhisattva. Nobody can help you. Okay, in the end, you can have your teachers and your friends, but there's only one real help, and that's going to come from Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. However you understand the Buddha and the Dharma and the Sangha, right? There are many ways to understand it, but you need to take refuge in, enlightened mind, teachings towards enlightenment, and the community that will support that. There's no other way, right? There's really no other way. And everybody is dealing with their own conditioned, hang-ups and problems. Teachers, friends, even the gods, okay, cannot escape their own patterning, right? That's why you have to take refuge. And at times, you may not have the friends you need, and you may not have the teachers you need, but you will have the refuge that you need.
There's something, maybe it's not subtle, but to me it looks subtle in some of those behavior summaries that keeps coming back. It's this thing you say a lot, how it's not about staying with the breath, it's about coming back to it. And the way he writes many of those is this: you go through the first phrases, which are usually they're kind of the suffering and the teaching, like you will accumulate, you will have wealth and you will lose it, you will have bad friends, it's like as if he's showing the dukkha, like all of this will happen, and then the punchline is, so find refuge, so leave your homeland. So it's very nice how it's like it's emphasizes it's like there's no shortcut there. It's like part of the behavior that he's saying the Bodhisattva should have is also going through those bad habits, hearts, dukkha, and all that.
Oh, for sure.
Like you can't jump to the last line. You can't just find the refuge without having, like what you said before. It's like the way he builds the text is that way too.
Yeah. Yeah. This is, why some of our masters from the past knew what they were doing. It's a good thing. All right, last verse for today. The suffering in the lower realms is really hard to endure. Yeah, go figure. What are the lower realms? The lower realms, there are these 6 realms the human being lives in. The lower ones are what's called hungry ghosts, the animal realm, and the hell realm. Those are all metaphor. Hell, hungry ghosts, and animals. They can be taken literally, but they also are very helpful understanding how it's not some place you end up in. It's something you experience every day. You'll notice your state of mind as a hungry ghost. A hungry ghost is also pictured as like these people with, huge, huge, huge stomachs and a mouth the size of a pin. And they just are tortured by trying to satisfy their hunger and thirst. They just can't. They're hungry ghosts, and they will always be hungry, desiring, and yet faced with the impossibility of fulfilling that desire. Sound familiar? And animal, the animal realm, okay, check out animals. Just observe animals and then observe yourself. Competition, fear, aggression. Like aggression, okay? Aggression, animal realm. Go on the streets here, animal realm, all right? It's dog eat dog, we say, right? Just barking at each other all the time. And then there's the hell realm, right? And the hell realm is hatred. Okay, it burns. Hatred. All right? When you get the aggression turns so deep, right? It's not just that this person is annoying, but I want them to die. Okay, I actually want them to die. That's the hell realm. And you may think, oh, I don't go there. All right? So, animals, ghosts, hungry ghosts, desire, aggression, hatred. Okay? Really hard to endure. Yes, it is. Especially when you visit there every day. That's the worst, isn't it? So, welcome to dukkha, samsara. The sage says, the Buddha, it is the result of destructive actions. Oh no, this is the cause of my own karma. So, for that reason, even if your life is at risk, don't engage in destructive actions. This is the practice of Bodhisattva, right? We haven't even gotten to wanting to help others and be, loving and stuff, right? All this is saying avoid the harm that you're engaged in so much, right? First, before you can help anyone, if you can't help, just don't harm, all right? And that is a practice of a Bodhisattva. Up until now, this is where we've gotten, and that's probably enough. So, if you come next week, bring your pages. I'll bring mine. And we'll see where we get. Or
we can leave it here
Okay.
if someone wants. So we can leave it here, or you can take and bring
Or
it
you
back.
can take and read if you're going to bring. So, let's, we studied, we reflected, and now we're going to take 1 minute of silence so you can just unknow everything.